Good evening, everyone. My name is Oladele Oladejo, and I'm excited to be here. I'm a member of the Chartered Institute of Purchasing and Supply, a member of the Chartered Institute of Transports and Logistics. I have masters in logistics and transport planning management. I have masters in logistics and supply chain management. My experience in the supply chain industry is across construction, and healthcare, and my experience spanned over 8 years. And I'm really excited to be part of this program. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Now, everyone joining us today, we appreciate you for taking your time to be here. This is just a 30-minute session designed to give you a snapshot of what supply chain management is and the critical area that powers global business success. That's what we are looking at. Now, we understand that you're just starting your career and some people are exposed to this field already. Some people are looking at it for a fresh professional direction. I am 100% sure that you will leave here today with insight, enough insight. You will be overwhelmed with surprises as you will hear from our tutors. Now, I will drop uh, a questionnaire in the chat room. Please kindly pick it up and fill it up so that we can get a feedback. This is just a 30-minute webinar. And after this, we will take questions and answers. You understand? We'll take questions from you guys. And with that, we understand that we can't answer all questions. So we hope to contact you all for further information. Or if you need anything from us as regard to this, you can reach out to us through the numbers that will be shared. So I will drop it right away. So what you will learn today, you will learn efficient supply chain management. You will discover how to streamline operation, cut costs, and improve service levels. You will understand career opportunities. Excuse me a minute. Let me drop this in the chat room. Okay. Hello? Please, can you all hear me?
Yes, we are hearing you.
Yes, we can.
Mrs. Oyebola, please, can you help me drop the link in the chat room? I'm trying to access it from my hand here. Okay, just give me a minute, please, to look for that. Okay. A minute, please. Please, Oyebola, can you help with that? Copy. Okay. I'm sorry about that. Please, I want to be sure everyone has gotten the link. Can you check the chat room? You can copy it. Yeah, I've dropped it already. Thank you so much. Please, can we all respond? Have we all gotten the yeah. Please, can someone respond? Look, man, I can't hear you. Hello? Munyoluwa, where? I just want to confirm with
slide now. Please let me know when you can see my screen. I'm trying to share my screen. Okay. Please confirm you can hear me and you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Thank you. All right. Good evening once again to those that are just joining. My name is Tosi. All right. And this webinar is brought to you by First Class Academy. Like Benga has rightly introduced what who First Class Academy is, and as we deep dive into today's webinar, we'll tell you a little bit more about ourselves. In terms of our agenda for tonight, we have less than 30 minutes already, and I'll try to, as much as possible, give enough time for question and answers, and we'll make this as short as possible. So the introductions we've done, I will take you through what supply chain is all about, and basics for tonight, really. We'll look at industries and examples of how supply chain works. We'll also look at career opportunities in supply chain. Then we take you into what our service is all about and the benefits of going through this course with First Class Academy, why we are different from every other institute that provides this kind of service. We speak a little more about our mentorship opportunities, and then we can have the Q&A session. All right, I like this to be kind of interactive as much as possible. So if your background is noisy, you can just chat in the box just to be sure that you are following while the discussion is going on. So first off, what is supply chain? And the reason why you don't see a definition here is because this is not an academic exercise. The intention of this webinar is for you to have an understanding. So if you meet anybody outside tomorrow and they ask you what is supply chain, without even thinking about it, you can explain what supply chain is. Okay, so supply chain basically is broken down into 4 key elements. The first is planning. Okay, sorry, let me hide this. Looks like it's blocking. Okay, so first is planning, supply chain planning. Then you have sourcing and procurement, you have operations, and you have logistics. So it's plans, source, let's use make for operations, and then deliver. So it's plan, source, make, deliver. All right. So just let me use this illustration so that you can follow the discussion. So imagine that you want to make a meal, a dinner for your family, and they are trying to cook. Let's say you're making a chicken for dinner. The first thing before you start cooking, or in order to deliver that meal to your family, first you have to plan. So supply chain first starts with planning. You have to plan, what do you want to cook? What are the ingredients? Imagine you have a recipe. The recipe would have listed out the items you need to get, in what quantity, what proportion, and all of that. So the planning first takes place so that along the line, you don't get disruptions. Okay, so you do your planning in terms of quantity, when it's going to be delivered, and all of that. Then you go shopping, and that is sourcing or procurement. So you go shopping to get the ingredients you need for the dish. And in some cases, depending on your recipe, so you have a brand name and you have your recipe. Your recipe, Coca-Cola, for example, is different from Pepsi in terms of ingredients listing, and the difference might just be where they source from. So you can't just source from anywhere. You want to get it from where it is the cheapest, and maybe proximity, how soon they can deliver. So many factors are put in place. So that's what procurement is about, what sourcing is about, from the right place, the right quality, at the right time, in the right proportion, and all of that. So assuming you've done the sourcing, that's you procured the ingredients, then the next thing is to make, is to cook, is to do the operations. So depending on the industry, we'll get into that. We'll try to explain what that processing is all about. So then you process it, you cook it, you fry it, you boil it, whatever it is. you manufacture the dish, and at the end of the day, you deliver it from your kitchen to your table, to your dining table. And that is logistics. So between your kitchen, where it is made, and where it is delivered, that's logistics. And logistics can be as far as is made in China and is delivered to Nigeria. So it could be that complex. So looking at it from kitchen to your table might look also simple, but in terms of real life, it actually could be complex. So supply chain, at the end of the day, is majorly these four elements. What you want to achieve is whatever you have, you want to get it to your consumers, to the end user. So from raw materials, from the imagination of what you want to do, into having it delivered as a finished product to the consumer, is what supply chain is all about. And like the word says, supply chain. So at the end of the day, it's a chain, it's a link, it keeps going around. And that's why you have, you will see from the arrow, it goes back. Once you have delivered, you go back and start planning. And the chain keeps going around. Therefore, the entire four elements of this supply chain, there wouldn't or shouldn't be a break in the chain. Otherwise, there will be disruptions. There will be instances where you get to the supermarket and your preferred product or brand name is not available. That means there has been a break in the chain. At the end of the day, every organization wants to ensure that once their customers require the product, they get it immediately. No delay, because we are all consumers. We don't have the luxury of maybe coming back another time to do our shopping. We want to get our product when we need it, and all of that. So we can't afford any break within the chain. So that is what supply chain it's all about. It's about supplying your product, and at the end of the day, it goes through a workflow that must not be disrupted. Just to check that everybody's on the same page, do we understand so far? Can I get a yes in the chat box if you understand? Just type in yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I have two yeses. I think that's enough to move to the next slide. All right, so looking at a few examples and helping you to kind of understand it a little more. So industries, and this list is not exhaustive. You have industries where supply chain is applicable and it cuts across. So from e-commerce, where you have Amazon, to technology, to food and beverage, to automotive, supply chain is applicable everywhere. You find supply chain everywhere. For example, Amazon is just a very unique example. So you place your order, and what Amazon does is, Amazon does not really own anything. They just collect from the supplier and deliver it to the customer, to the end user. But within that chain, it looks that so simple, but within that chain, they also try to, add value to it. So for example, you order, let me look for something quite easy to use. You order a dishwasher, for example, on Amazon. Amazon does not own any product, so they get the dishwasher from, let's say, Sony. You get, then they keep it in their warehouse or somewhere. They might want to package it, and then from there they move it to the consumer wherever that person is in the world. So that's for Amazon. So you remember the place where I was talking about operations. So Amazon does not really make anything, they don't cook anything, but they kind of process the order. And that's what operations is about. It's about processing the order and then delivering it to the customer. Same in the technology space. Apple, for example, they want to make the next iPhone. They get the parts, they source the parts from So the planning is about, okay, we want to make 10,000 iPhone 20 Pro Max, for example. So because their planning is 10,000 iPhone 20 into the entire universe. So they do the planning, then they go to China or wherever in the world to source the components of those phones, and then they assemble it. That's the operations bit, and then they deliver it everywhere in the world. Same for Samsung. I've given the example of food and beverage. You know, when I made the example of Coca-Cola and Pepsi, theirs is the same thing. They might want to source their raw material from the farms anywhere in the world, Africa, Asia, and all of that. They process it and they deliver. Same for automobile. They buy these parts from, once they give their specification, they source the parts from anywhere in the world, assemble the cars, and then ship all over the world. All right. But these are, like I said, it's supply chain is everywhere. You know, I started off with the example of your kitchen, of your house. Same thing, just think of anywhere you will get to buy, you get to procure, you need to store, you need to deliver, and therefore supply chain is important. The supply chain personnel is important. So let's go into real life examples of what happens on a typical day in Amazon. So first, I think I've said this in passing, but let me just go through it into a little bit of detail. So in terms of procurement, Amazon will source the products from manufacturers all over the world, globally. They'll store it, they'll warehouse it in fulfillment centers. And because these products are quite a lot and could be very complex, they'll introduce things like advanced robotics and then some level of inventory management so that they don't mix up orders. And imagine if you have ordered for a dishwasher and you get a car, for example, because Amazon made a mistake, you know, so they can't afford all those. So they would definitely invest in advanced technology. So then you have the order processing where the customer, like you and I, we place our order. The system identifies the nearest fulfillment center and all of that. There's also the picking and the packing. So if when they collect the products from the supplier, for example, they need to repackage it and then prepare it for shipping. Again, they can ship through any of their logistics network. It could be a truck delivery, plane, and in fact, if it has to, I'm not sure they will need to do sea shipments. But if it's required, they can't go through the plane, they need to do sea shipments. And then the last mile delivery. So it's one thing to get it into the country, it's another thing to get it to your doorstep. So that's what last mile delivery is about, making sure it gets into the onto the doorstep of the customer. So that was happening in the typical life of Amazon. And you have people working in different departments. In all of these departments, you have people working there. I know the common one is about people working in maybe picking and packing or in the order processing or warehouse, for example. But there's a lot more that goes on within the supply chain of Amazon than the ones that they advertise casually. And yeah, okay, so let me speak also to healthcare, for example. So there's supply chain in healthcare, and what do they buy? Procurement will kind of identify and source, because it's healthcare, it will mostly be medical supplies, equipment, and pharmaceuticals, the drugs, for example. It's somebody that procures the drugs that are used in the hospitals, the scissors, the syringes, and every other thing, medical supplies that is used. Is the supply chain team that kind of identify and source for it. You can imagine if they want to have an operation. I'm sure it doesn't happen in advanced world. An operation wants to take place and they found out that they've run out of cotton wool. You know, that's supply chain failure. they cannot afford to run out of any of their equipment. And also they cannot afford to buy, maybe let's just buy 3 years stock. Number one, there's the tendency of it getting expired, and also tying down working capital. And when you get into the cost, we are going to see the impact of all of this on the supply chain. So inventory management, that's about warehousing, storing all of these things. And the more you have, the more you store. The more you need to get a bigger warehouse and a bigger warehouse and a bigger warehouse. At the end of the day, you're still managing your working capital. And then you distribute to different hospital departments. You have the pediatrics, you have the surgical ward, private ward, and all of those. Everywhere needs all these supplies. It needs to be distributed. One hospital can have like 3 or 4 branches, and they have a centralized supply chain. So they buy it in one place and then distribute across. Like I said, the usage can be used in patient surgeries, for treatments and all of that. And then you monitor the reordering process, monitoring and reordering, just to ensure that they cannot afford to run out at any time. Replenish your stock. Same thing we do with our what's it called, in our kitchen, in our store. You can't afford to run out of some essentials. You can't afford to run out of salt, for example, if you are doing your cooking. Can't afford to run out of soap. When you want to wash, you now just realize that, oh, there's no soap in this house, something like that. We can't afford it in sensitive organizations like healthcare, and for every serious business. Okay, how much time do I have left, Benga? Okay, I'll keep speaking till Benga stops me. But I believe everyone can hear me and we are following. Please just jot down your questions, or you can use the forms to drop your questions, so that at the question and answer time we can take that. All right, so having said all of that, what are the opportunities within the supply chain? And the job roles in supply chain start from entry level to mid level to senior level. For entry level, you have the roles of analysts, you have assistants, you have coordinators at low levels. This what entry level really requires. And then as you graduate within your career, you move to mid-level. Mid-level is the managerial roles, where you have people reporting to you, mostly assistant managers, assistants, or analysts that are working with you as a manager, and the mid-level is more of the supervisory role. In terms of the senior level, and let me just say, okay, so entry level is like 0 to 4 years, and by mid-level, by your 5th year, you should already be in a manager. There are people that, for some deliberate reasons, are able to rise faster, and that's what we are going to try to help to do for you with this course. If you take this course, we will help you grow and see how you can network easily. Quite a number of factors come into play beyond just being competent in how to advance in your career. And this course is going to give you that opportunity. And then senior level, we start talking about 10 years plus, you become a director. Having spent 10 years in supply chain, you qualify to be a director, and then you can then become a chief. From directors, depending on how the organization is structured, some organizations end up being directors. Some organizations, they have chief procurement officers, which is CPOs. You have chief supply chain officers, the chiefs, the C-suite, like that. And something interesting happened recently within the supply chain space for a multinational organization in Nigeria. You can make your research. The MD of Unilever Nigeria now is a supply chain professional. So before now, they've always thought that, oh no, to be a CEO of a multinational, any organization, you should be in marketing or sales. But that record was broken last year when a supply chain professional became the MD of a multinational in Nigeria. So there is no limit to what you can become within the supply chain space. You are not constrained in any way. You can still become an MD CEO, even being a supply chain professional. All right. So I'll
Sorry,
go
Coach
quickly
Tosin.
into, yes,
Sorry
please.
to interrupt you. Please, you have 10 minutes more to round up, please.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I think this is the second to the last slide, if I'm not mistaken, talking about the benefits of enrolling on this course with First Class Academy on this supply chain management course. So we have customized training. Why we are different from every other supply chain management course that you might want to enroll in is that they kind of have generic trainings that is just fixated. You just do the course. It doesn't speak to your concern. It's not as practical. It's not hand holding. What we are going to offer you through this training is we are really going to hand hold you. You're going to be speaking with experts in the industry. You're going to be getting different facilitators coming to take some courses. I don't want to throw out names, but I can tell you from reputable organizations, Fortune 500 companies, even some of the companies that I've mentioned on this course, we are going to get experts from there to help facilitate, and then you can ask real life questions. They're going to cut across industries. Like I said, we are going to have people from healthcare, people from e-commerce, people from manufacturing, telecoms, construction, people that have had experiences across come to give insights, and if possible, take some of those courses so that it can just be as practical as possible. Yeah, so that networking opportunities are really going to exist, and you don't want to miss those opportunities. The career world generally now, it's gone beyond just being competent. A number of people have certifications. They have masters, they have first class, they have all these chartered certifications that you can think of. But what distinguishes you from every other person is the opportunity for somebody to handhold you, somebody more experienced to help you to navigate, and then referrals also would help, somebody to coach you when you're going for an interview, for a supply chain interview. So we are going to be having all those you're going to be having those advantages if you enroll with First Class Academy. And really, it's going to be it's going to be worth your time. I don't want to give a money back guarantee, but you can take my word for it that it's going to be worth much more than any investment you make on this course. All right, so yeah, that's it really from my side. I think we have a few questions. I see one in the chat box, and then we can take other questions from the form. Before we'll go into the questions, I'd like to just say that this course is not a certification course. You get a certificate of participation or attendance, but it's not it doesn't lead to a certificate. So if you want to have certificates, I don't know how many of us were on the call when one of our coaches was introducing himself. So he has certification in transport, in logistics, myself and some other facilitators, we have chartered institutes of purchasing and supply. CFPS is very common in the UK, and most organizations request for it. We could help in helping you get those certifications, but this course does not give a certification, so to say, that is recognized, but you have the certificates of attendance and participation, which could give you an edge over every other person that has a renowned certification. Okay, I hope I made myself clear on that. So I see a question. Can I go ahead with the questions, Benga?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I have an interesting question here that says, can I work in supply chain despite not studying supply chain degree? Oh, right. Okay, so I'll use myself as an example, and I'll allow other facilitators to also add on to this. So the answer is a capital yes. You can work in supply chain without necessarily studying supply chain as a degree. For example, when I was having my first degree, there was even no degree called supply chain. It just came recently. So my first degree is mechanical engineering. So I didn't study supply chain. I don't even have a master's in supply chain, and I've risen in the ranks when it comes to supply chain. So you don't really need to have a supply chain degree. You don't have to study supply chain. It's a nice to have. It's good to have it, but it does not stop you in terms of how you navigate within the supply chain space. I don't know, Dele, if you want to add to that, or Ruth.
Yeah, I would like to add to that.
Go ahead, please.
Having or studying supply chain as a degree is only an add-on, I think. However, whatever you have studied is or gives you an edge in supply chain, because in supply chain we have various categories. If you're privileged to have studied engineering, if you go into an engineering organization for work, it gives you an edge because you understand the terminology. If you're a medical professional and you're doing supply chain in the health sector, you quickly acclimatize with the settings, you know what they need. But even at that, it doesn't mean you cannot fit into the supply chain industry. I always recommend people without supply chain first degree to go into supply chain because they have edges more than those with supply chain first degree. So yes, you can do supply chain despite not having the first degree there.
Okay, thanks, Dele. That's all the question I see in the chat box. Benga, I don't know if you have other questions from the form, or if we want people to raise their hands and we can take their questions directly.
Exactly. What I want to do is I want to ask them one after the other. And I want to start with Moni, Oluwa, Awe. Please, do you have any question for us such that we can, our expert will answer you immediately? Please don't be shy. Yeah.
I'm not shy. Can I be given a few minutes? I will ask my question.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Yes,
Lukman, I'm also expecting your question. Is Lukman with us? I'm also seeing Kojo. Are you with us, please? Felix? Please, we want to entertain your question. We want to have your questions. Okay. Chibona, am I right? I'm not sure if I'm right with the pronunciation. Okay.
Can I ask my question now?
All right, you're free.
Okay, sorry, I was doing something the other time. So, for someone that doesn't have the background of a supply chain, no experience on it, nothing. But one way or the other, we all do supply chain every day, even in our home. If you want to go further, like looking for a job, maybe a procurement job or something related to supply chain in this part of the world, in the UK or maybe somewhere else, how can you fit in to the role? How can you easily solve, I don't know, gain experience aside going to study for it? Are you saying, okay, me doing this course now, it's a key way to it? I don't know if you understand my question, please.
Yes, I
Yes,
do.
absolutely. Okay.
Okay. Dele, go for it, please.
Yeah, I think I like that question particularly. There's something in supply chain, it's about what you bring to the table. Going for any job depends on how you can sell yourself and what this platform is bringing to you. It's that bridge that can take you across the bottleneck to get yourself an interview for a supply chain job. And when you're going for an interview, we would be there by your side. We'll tell you what to expect, what your interviewer wants. In real life, everybody practice supply chain, but in an organizational level now, can you actually handle supply chain? How can you bring value to this organization where you want to work? That is what the interviewer wants to know. So whatever your background is, in as much as you are able to prove to your interviewer that you have the skill sets, then you're good to go. However, I'm not saying after taking this course you can go for a director job. No, this course can only take you a certain level, then you build your experience and your resume as well. But definitely taking this course will giving you decades of experience, knowledge, technical know-how, industry knowledge, things that you cannot easily get from the university or from a degree course or not even from certification, because we have gone through real life experience, and our experience, knowledge, and technical know-how are what we are bringing together to fuse and make this product. So I can guarantee you, after taking this course, you have your shots at any supply chain job and you can compete with anybody.
Yeah, thanks, Dele. Just to add to that, there are terminologies that supply chain people use. Like you said, so we do supply chain every day. And what is going to distinguish you from every other person is knowing the terminology to use for I'm going to buy instead of sourcing. You understand? So there are some technicalities that we are going to be sharing with you that will just give you the edge above every other person. For starters, definitely it will be a role that will require maybe 0 to 1 or 2 years experience. And then it's about how you're able to communicate that we do supply chain every day. We do supply chain in our homes, how we are able to translate that knowledge into the technicalities of supply chain. That's it. Most of those roles, entry level roles, they don't expect that you have all the experience, so to speak, but at least the basic knowledge of how you are even able to see real life as being the whole of supply chain, then able to bring it into the workplace is what really matters. So I hope we've been able to answer your question, Moyoluwa.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
All right,
Any
thanks,
other
Moyi,
question?
and I believe you've been convinced now, and everyone, I'm sure we are all convinced. I just wanted to know that this webinar is a perfect starting point for you. In the last 30 minutes ago, or 45 minutes, let me say, I want to believe we have gained some knowledge from our experts. And I'm sure you will feel more confident about exploring this dynamic field. I personally understand that career development is not just about acquiring knowledge, but it comes with application. It strategically takes you to the next step forward. So if you definitely need people, experts, to take your hands and help you through this journey, trust me, you need First Class Academy. So this webinar is just designed to provide you with the tools, insights, and to make informed decisions about joining this field. Now, what is our expectation? We understand that we have gone through this webinar. I know some people are thinking, should I go for this field or not? Is this meant for me or not? You have heard from our experts how they started. Some of them started with mechanical engineering, which does not pertain to this field. The next step is to dive deeper into this field, and we invite you to reach out and explore our services. We are here to assist and help everyone. So whether through our specialized coaching programs, our workshops, which will be they are services that we'll offer to you. So maybe it's a consulting service that you are expecting. We are all here to help you out. So our expert coaches will guide you through every stage of your journey. We can assure you of that. And they will offer tailored advice to help you reach out to you, reach your professional goals. All right. So is someone saying something? Hello?
I think Kojo mic is muted.
Please, can you help me to mute your mic? Hello?
All noisy being chairman or say that is the only place I can find these ladies.
Hello?
Oh, look at those, you don't take this you can find these ladies.
Please kindly mute your mic, please. All right, thank you. All right. So basically, what we are trying to tell you is we want to remind you that the world of supply chain management is vast, is rewarding, and we are sure you've heard from our experts. I want to say a very big thank you to our seasoned expert, our great experts here, Mr. Oladele and Mrs. Oluwatosin. Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. We sincerely appreciate. And no matter where you are in your career, there's always room to grow and expand your expertise. So this webinar is just the beginning. So I will encourage you to stay engaged, take full advantage of the knowledge shared today. After this session, if you have any other questions, you can reach out to us. I want you to be sure that this webinar was brought to you by First Class Academy, which is a training platform that has been disseminating greater expertise now to quite a number of people in the UK, in Nigeria, Pan-Africa, all to say. So you are in the best place, you are in the right place. So on that note, I will once again appreciate everyone for joining us in this webinar. And I want to be sure that you have all filled your questionnaire. Please, if you've not done that, please kindly fill the questionnaire so that we can keep in touch with you at every point in time. But I am 100% sure that you will never regret this. Join us and you'll be glad. So further information will be communicated to you after the questionnaire has been filled, or if you need any information from us, you can reach out to us. We will be ready to respond to you at every point in time. Thank you so much for your time. We sincerely appreciate you for joining us, and we'll be coming to an end of this webinar and the next few minutes. I don't know if Mrs. Oyebola or Mr. Oladele has any other thing to give us before we go.
I just want to say thank you to everybody that has taken time to join us. I'll see you in the main course. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Anything from Mrs. Tosin before we go?
No, thanks everyone. It's been an exciting 45 minutes with you, and yeah, really looking forward to meeting you in the class. Thank you once again for joining.
Okay, I think Lukman has a question for us here, and he said, how much is the course? Well, Mr. Lukman, we'll reach out to you, or you can reach out to the admin after the webinar, such that such information will be given to you or provided. Thanks for that. I think I have answered that. Are you fine with that, Mr. Lukman? Just drop it in the chat box. All right, so I want to say a big thank you to everyone for joining us on this webinar, and we appreciate you. We would love to have you all in the next cohorts that will enhance your ability even in this supply chain management field, and you will never regret it. Thank you and have a wonderful time. Bye.
Bye.